Yo, what up, guys? It's your boy Kimbo here, and it's time for an epic Beyblade Burst Super King discussion video, man. So, yeah, obviously, we're getting into spoil territory. If you haven't, seen the most recent episode or anything, you want to go watch it. But if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, so we're just gonna get into it. You guys know how I am with this. I always watch the episodes and then give my thoughts on possibly some future things happening. And I do so obviously with the actual reaction, but then having time to gather my thoughts and such, and make a video just saying my full out thoughts on things. So we're gonna be talking about everything. So that being like what's happened in the show, and then also the next releases to come out. So yeah. I guess the first thing I'll say is we'll get into the releases. So we'll talk about the releases a little bit. That being the Beyblade Burst Random Booster Volume 22 is coming, man. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped about it. The prize bay for it is obviously Infinite Achilles. They are saving Achilles. They did save Achilles for this next booster. And that was one of the things I honestly didn't want to see too much, just because like Achilles having the different modes, obviously wanted to get multiple of them, for all the different modes. Just being a collector myself, you guys know. But I guess it makes sense just because TT trying to make money and such, and being a smart play, because knowing that people are gonna probably want to get different like multiple Achilles, just so they can make the different modes, like the infinite sword, the infinite shield, and also the balance mode where it doesn't have either one. But yeah, I guess it was smart play, like money wise, like marketing wise, it was a smart play by TT. But dang it, TT, at the same time. But yeah, regardless, really hyped for it. Haven't seen like all of the parts for it or anything. The two things that they really advertised being like two of the drivers. That being they're having they're called H drivers, kind of, and what it means is like height. So they have a little bit more height. They're a bit taller, so they're going with like the tower approach, trying to make the base a little bit taller with the driver. And that being, I think it's like Jaggy H, and there's another one. I think Jaggy H and then Blow H. Blow Dash H. So they both have the dash drivers, so it makes them tougher to burst, but also being taller. It's kind of a cool gimmick, but also it's like there's so many drivers they could have like made dashes for, and I'm a little bit disappointed on that side personally. I mean, still hyped for it, but a little disappointed because it's like, all the dash drivers I named before, like Iron Dash would be sick to see. Like Iron Dash, Sword Dash, Impact Dash being the three top attack drivers I'd really want to see, just because like they switch up things big time. Like, give Iron a dash, it would make it definitely more viable. And then same thing with Sword, and same thing with Impact, because those dash drivers matter. They matter big time. But yeah, dude, hopefully we do get them in the future. Definitely would want to see one of, if not one of, like all of them, So yeah, a couple more would be like Trick Dash would be really cool to see. Bullet Dash or Bullet Metal named before, but just some parts to really switch up the game. Because I mean, a Bullet Metal, Bullet Dash definitely would switch up at least Classic, because having it where the Bullet gimmick has that dash driver, so it can take that recoil more. But if they made a Bullet Metal where like the actual bullet on itself was like full metal, and have that weight to it, that would really show off his gimmick big time. So having all that weight, it would probably have a chance of bursting a bait, maybe. But yeah, time's gonna tell with that. Definitely still want to see them big time, because like I said, they switch up the game, and they seem like drivers that'll be really fun to use for attack for sure. And then even like Trick Dash, because switching through all the modes and doesn't have any crazy LED or anything, and a very unpredictable bay with that. Yeah, dude. I guess that's the main thing for the booster. I know there's a Dead Hades in it, Hell Salamander, Drigger V, Dragoon V, recolors for them. Some pretty awesome bays with it for sure. But yeah, I usually avoid like seeing like the drivers and such. Well, they showed off like the drivers, the two drivers to advertise it. So, couldn't really avoid that. But like for the most part, I avoid like looking at the discs and the drivers. For the bays, I might have an idea of like, obviously the layers and everything, seeing the pictures and such, because everybody shares it. But I usually avoid like the actual parts for it. So, there's that surprise factor with actually getting the booster. But yeah, man, no matter what, looking forward to it, because Infinite Achilles seems like it's an absolute beast. And I mean, it's an Achilles, so it's going to have some serious power. Plus the attack and defense modes. Can't wait to see how much they switch it up. Like, even just having the armor on it. And then also the balance mode too. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the booster. And now getting into the show, you know, so, yeah. The most recent episode being number 30. The craziness that happened involving Hikaru, Hyuga, and Lane. So, obviously, Hikaru and Hyuga were just walking on the beach while Hikaru was carrying Hyuga while he was sleeping. Lane showed up, and then Hikaru woke up Hyuga, and then Lane challenged Hyuga to a battle because he saw his residence during the Legend Festival and challenged him. And then obviously was going for his head straight away. One, it was in the same warehouse that he faced Ranjiro in, and we saw how that went. You could tell because of like all the glass and such that was in the ceiling. It's the same exact spot. So if there are any more battles that happen there, I'd be like, oh god. You know, if they end up going back to that same location, I'm gonna be extra nervous just because both times that we've seen that location and Lane's battled there, he's broken the bay that he's faced. So yeah, obviously just getting into it, you know, Hikaru and Hyuga both battling Lane. Hikaru saw that Hyuga was struggling big time and then launched in Helios. They used the twin strike, but then Lane's not having any of it. His true resonance is showing. His hair starts to turn blue. The shackles that are on his outfit, you know, that are like kind of holding him back, it's like they're restraints on his true power. He breaks them. So his resonance is starting to get to that point where he's even breaking the shackles that are on him. It's like he was just a test subject, and he's had these shackles on him. Well, it's a part of his design too. But like when he breaks those shackles, that's when the true power comes out, and he was showing some of his true flair. And then use the variant press, and it's confirmed variant press. Like it was first, is it like variant wall press or variant press? It is variant press. So whenever he uses it, if the bay gets stuck, they're done. So use the variant press, pushes both of them against the wall at the same time, and breaks them both at the same time. Helios and Hyperion, both RIP. It was really sad. It was honestly one of the most, I'd say, emotional breaks, definitely, of the series, you know. Because we've seen breaks before, and it's like, dang, man, like, it makes your heart sink big time, you know. I mean, especially, I'd say, like, the top ones being, like, when, you know, Phi broke, like, Freeze Fafnir, when Phoenix broke Fafnir, when Phoenix broke Spriggan, those being two of the ones, and then also when Phoenix broke Achilles. Like, those are all really emotional breaks, man, you know. I guess, like, the shock factor just was Shu, mainly, and also Free, like, you know. But I just seen when Achilles got broken was really, really sad. And this was definitely up there because you just see them both in fetal positions, curl up in balls on the beach, looking out and just looking at their bays. And they just break down, man. It was crazy. And then afterwards, went and talked to everybody in the club. And then Rantaro took them to talk to Vault. Talked to Vault. And then we get the battle with Lane and Vault. Literally after the breaks happened. Same episode, they begin the final battle. It was crazy, dude. And then in the first battle, there was big hits, and Vault used the Brave Sword. Lane used the Variant Wall. Both of them go in the air, and barely, just by a little bit, Valkyrie hit before Lucifer hit. So Lane got the first point. And then that's where the episode ends off, man. So a lot to talk about with it. So my personal thoughts on it. Who's going to win the battle? A lot of people have been asking me who's going to win the battle. Honestly, in my personal opinion, it's up in the air. It's very up in the air because it's TT, and we're now going into a dark period. I know what people, like, you know, some people might be like, what do you mean by dark period? You say it a lot. By dark period, I mean a period in which we have all of the characters and all of the bays that have been advertised for the season. They're all there. And now we don't know exactly what's going to be coming besides the next set that's going to be coming out, which is obviously like the, what is it? I forgot the actual name of it, but it's a DX set, and it comes with the new Helios and the new Hyperion. And they both look really sick. I love the gimmicks big time. Like, you know, as it seems like as Helios battles, it starts with 5 blades, and as it battles and loses clicks, it goes in the 10 blade mode, so it has more defense, which is really cool. So it starts off with more attack and then gets more defense. And then obviously Hyperion being the opposite, where it starts off with a big time amount of attack, but then it loses clicks, and these points stick out, kind of like how Tempest Dragon does, and it gets more attack, but it happens as it battles. Kind of the Arc Bahamut or Dread Bahamut kind of gimmick, you know. But yeah, on a cool scale. So I'm really, really excited for them. And also the stadium looks really fun because it has the flat slopes on it. So the bay can ramp up to the top and then rush in and get a big attack. Such a cool design, man. I'm looking forward to the set big time. But besides that set, we don't know what we're getting afterwards. this random booster with Achilles, random booster 22, and then the next set are the only confirmed things. After that, it could be literally anything. They could throw whoever they want to into it. They could do literally whatever they want to. And we don't know exactly what to expect, which is really, really sick, man. That's one thing I love is like TT just tossing in some crazy, just like surprise things like, oh, we have this character coming in. But yeah, there's 3 situations obviously that can happen with this final. One situation kind of being the unlikely one, that being if they pull a GT and in the middle of like this final battle, somebody else enters in and launches their bay, like how they did with Arthur with his Apocalypse, and then both bays are sent flying or something like that. If they decide to do that, I don't know if they're actually going to go that far with it, you know. I see this being a fight to the finish, you know, between Vault and Lane. So that first option being probably one of the unlikely ones. Option number 2 being who wins. You know, the first option for it, option 2 being if Vault manages to beat Lane. So in the preview, it seems like Vault managed to push in the barrier. He actually managed to push back the barrier. He found out some way to do so. And he has the key for Vault in this is definitely like wearing out Lucifer's stamina a bit, but then also it shows that Lane can speed up and gain more momentum and have that barrier go back out. The key is hitting him constantly so he can't push the barrier back out, getting that barrier to go in so it can't go back out, because given that it could still push it back out because Achilles tried to do so, but then he sped up and then got the barrier back and used it against Achilles and Iga and, you know, bursted Achilles. He's got to stay on those attacks big time, and then also try to use the maximum amount of his stamina, you know, attacking and also using as much stamina as possible. It's going to be the key to beating Lucifer. It seemed like Lane was actually kind of nervous in one of the scenes, but it shows he's going to be using some of his, if not full out True Flare with it, a lot of his like True Flare. It's starting to really, really show now. Because like the silhouette of him, he turns into a shadow. He's got the markings on his face, literally like a mix of like Arthur and Phi vibes, because Phi, you know, obviously like turning more into the shadowy version, you know, when he had Dead Phoenix, for one. 2, Arthur also having like the shadowy vibes on him and having his own pattern on his face glow up. You know, you can see that with this. And also like just the how ominous it is, you know, like kind of how it was with like Shu and Sprig and Requiem, you know, just that demeanor. Like with the aura coming off of him like crazy at the beginning of the battle. You could see all the parts with Lane right now, and that's one thing that's really, really wild. But Vault, like, you know, the crazy thing would be like, well, if Vault wins, which, you know, obviously everybody's rooting for Vault, and if he does win, you know Lane's not going to take it lightly. You know, he's going to get really, really upset. And, you know, yeah, he's going to probably get really, really upset, and then they'll drive him maybe to make a new Lucifer, which, oh boy. But I don't think we're getting that quite yet. So, the third option being one that I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards, which don't want to see it, but yeah. And there being kind of even 2 options with this one. That being Lane wins. Lane takes the battle. No matter what, I see it being a close battle, like 3-2 win. You know, like being 3-2 with at the end of it. But I can imagine if like Vault tries his best and he does very, very well against Lane, even to the point where he manages to burst Lucifer. And he's the first one to not only break through the barrier, but burst Lucifer. And then he, you know, he takes him and the score is 2-1. And then Lane gets really upset and starts showing his true, like, demonic, you know, aura and such. Like, he is an evil character, it's a given, but he hasn't fully snapped. You know, like how Gwen snapped, how Phi snapped. Both did at the end when they got their evolved bays. He hasn't snapped like that. Even Arthur did a little bit when he got the Armored Apocalypse. But he hasn't gone that far with his demeanor. You know, he's still too calm. You know what I mean? He hasn't fully snapped yet. And he's going to be driven to that point. And the question is, will it be like Vault that's going to be the one that makes him snap? But yeah. So if like Lane wins it, it will be a heartbreaker if he bursts Valkyrie. Well, like if he breaks Valkyrie, you know, if he gets the burst, then all right, like he gets the burst like he did Achilles, but doesn't manage to break Valkyrie. But if he breaks Valkyrie, it's gonna be an absolute heartbreaker, man. It's gonna be the moment where everybody's gonna be just as shook, you know, like, oh my gosh, he actually broke Valkyrie. But yeah, dude. But the story going forward after that you know, like he said he's gonna throw it all at Shu, like his entire resonance and such. He said, I'm gonna toss it all at you. Like when my resonance reaches its peak, Shu, I'm throwing it all at you. He told him that right after the battle with Louis, when we first saw Lane battle with Lucifer. And we got to see that battle, you know. Shu versus Lane, like Lane versus Shu. We got to see that battle happen. I could totally imagine it where Shu is the one that beats Lane because he trained Lane. He knows how strong Lane is, and he's seen his flair and his aura, and plus, even being the former Red Eye, he knows very, very well because he's gone through all of that craziness himself. But him being the one that manages to actually beat Lane. But then after that, Lane not taking it lightly and vowing to get revenge. This is what could be a segue into like some future things happening. So I know I mentioned it a lot, but characters that could possibly come back. Since we're in the dark period, TT's not just going to stop at releases and such. You know, in December, they're going to drop a random booster, and there's going to be a prize for that. Somebody said that it's a rumored thing. It's not confirmed. You know, it's just a rumored thing that it could possibly be an attack type. It's not fully confirmed or anything. But if it does happen to be an attack type, because we haven't gotten an attack type prize bait for a booster in a while, I don't think. Because, yeah, like we got Achilles with this one. Before that, we had Diabolos. Before that, we had Satan. So it's been at least like 3 boosters. It's been a while since we had an attack type prize. If it is an attack type bay, there's 3 possibilities I definitely would want to see. One possibly being Arthur with his Apocalypse coming back, because Arthur's that strong and would have full credibility to come back, be a full out evil, you know, and it would tie into like the story and stuff that I said before. Number 2 possibly being honestly, I guess I have to go with Xhaka. You know, Xhaka with a new Excalibur, because I mean, he's one of the 4 Spin Emperors, you know, and we've seen Louis, we've seen Shu. I'd love to see Xhaka come back, and I'd love to see Zack come back for sure, to have the 4 Spin Emperors in there. And they're all in the top 15 in the manga, by the way. The manga doesn't fully follow the show, but there are some things that correspond to some things that don't, you know. Yeah, would absolutely love to see that. And then another one being, it's kind of like a stretch, a wild one, but Norman Turner, or Norman Turver, you know, however you say his last name, coming back with like a new nemesis. That would be wild, because it's like it goes to Shu's past coming back, and that would tie into like some of the ideas had before. And if there was a 4th one, possibly Kurtz would beat Kukulkan, because, or like, you know, a new Kukulkan, because he's a former champion, you know, he's a former world champion. So yeah, those would be like the top 4, I'd say, for just attack type bays, if it's a full out attack prize for like characters to come back. But yeah, dude, the crazy thing they could do is just tie all these series together, like how they've been going to all the different buildings. Like literally, they went to the Godbladers Cup Arena during the Legend Festival. We saw Aiga's home. You know, they took us to Aiga's home. They took us literally everywhere, like BC, Seoul, and such. They took us all around to the biggest spots that we've seen throughout Burst history in this season already. So many spots, but there's a few that they haven't taken us to, at least since we've seen them the last time. Like I said, 3 of the characters that I want to see the absolute most come back. I know I say it a lot. Phi, Gwen, and Delta. Why I say it this much is because it would be so hype to see them in there. Imagine all these dream battles. Phi hasn't faced really many of these players. Well, he's faced off against Shu, and he's faced off against Free, and managed to beat them both. And that gives him full credibility to come back. Aiga's the only one that beat him, but he beat Free and Shu. How are you going to leave the former God of Destruction or Lord of Destruction out of it? You know, it would make no sense to plot. Like, you don't have these characters in that they built up so much over time not be in this. It wouldn't make that evil look as credible. You know, Lane's going on a tear right now. But for me, at least, gotta see these strong characters come in and have these battles. Like, even if we see, like, Lane versus Gwen, like, Gwen comes back, Lane versus Phi, that would be a crazy... Could you imagine that, dude? The gimmick of the barrier versus the gimmick of the armor? Come on, man. Come on. Like, nobody else would want to see that. And plus, Phi just come in and do all these battles with all these Bladers. Same thing with Gwen, because like Gwen only faced off against what? Out of the Bladers that are currently in there right now, only Drum. Nobody else. So yeah, why build up Gwen like that? You're not gonna have Gwen come back and be able to do all these dream battles. And then same thing with Delta. He's only faced Drum out of all of them, and Vault's kind of his mentor. You know, he's Vault's pupil. So yeah, dude. Especially if Valkyrie does end up like losing or even getting broken, it would force Delta to come back and be like, he beat Vault. Oh no, like, I'm not taking this, you know, and then comes back with his new Diabolos and such. And plus, I would really want to see another build-up like the Godbladers Cup, where it's just 1v1 battles, 1v1s, whoever has the most at the And, we get the ranks like that, and then people slowly start getting knocked out because it shows their true rank power-wise, and we see that, like we did with the God Bladers Cup. We'd love to see that, because we did so, like, tag team battles and all that stuff, and then a couple of 1v1s at the end in the semifinals. But definitely want to see, like, a full-out tournament with just 1v1 so we could fully measure all the Bladers' powers. And plus, if Lane's in it, which he would probably be in it, imagine him going on an absolute tear, just breaking every opponent that he beats. That would be crazy, dude. And plus, we got to see that build-up, like Free versus Lane. We got to see that rematch, for sure. And Shu versus Lane, we got to see too. Just all these battles, and then having characters like Fi, Gwen, and Delta in the fray would be absolutely amazing, dude. And the crazy thing being, like, if they do have this build-up, which it just deserves it. If this is the last season of Burst, which it's kind of pointing towards that because of this endgame feel, they need to go all out with it and have the strongest throughout Burst history be in this. That means the good characters, which we've seen, and also the evil characters, the absolute strongest. Because Ashton, Theodore, Mr. I own the snake pit and I'm the main leader of it. Mr. I used to be the manager of the New York Bulls, which she was the manager of. And he just kind of vanished, and then Shu took over. And also, Lane was sent to New York, and that's where he showed up, was New York. That's the first time we saw him. And Shu saw his flare, and then he managed to beat Free. It's not known if Lane broke Geist Fafnir, at least at the current moment. It's just kind of implied until TT makes that battle and says, like, you broke my Fafnir, like has Free say you broke my Fafnir before, but it's not going to happen again. I've seen your resonance and your flare and how it's growing, and I'm going to beat you this time, This current moment, Lane's broken 3 bays. If he did break Geist Fafnir and they do confirm that, then it'll be 4 bays he's broken at this point, which that ties him, I think, with Shu for breaks. And then Fi having the most, having 5 breaks. That's a lot of breaks already, though, because we still got 22 episodes left in this series, and so much can happen. But yeah, I just want to feel it's credible to me if you didn't have these powerful bladers like Fi, Gwen, and Delta in the show, with their base, considering how much they've all been hyped up and how strong they all are. Like, Delta never lost the 1v1 with Diabolos. Gwen barely lost against Drum. It took the power of all the victories with Dragon, with Drum's Dragon to win against Gwen. And then Fi only lost to Aiga. Nobody else beat him. And we never saw that battle between Fi and Vault. Like, come on, how you going to hype that up, and not have it happen? Just no sense at all with that. But, yeah, dude. Those are the main things we got to see. Like, we got to see it where, like, all these evils, imagine all these evils coming together. Like, Arthur, Ashton, Theodore, Ashton, Theodore, Arthur, Eval, all of them joining their minds together and creating this one entity and this one group, all the evils coming together with their ultimate versions of their bays to counter all these legends. And then we have the full Bellbringer with the leader being Lane with Lucifer. Imagine he gets upset, and then Ashton or Theodore puts him through like a Requiem project. It's on a crazier scale, even more so than he did with Red Eye Shu. And we get a new Lucifer that way. Yeah, and takes the data of all the Bladers and manages to make a perfect Lucifer that can counter any of them. Attack, defense, stamina, can beat all the other bays with it. Be absolutely wild to see that, man. That's the build-up we definitely need for this season, and I really, really hope that we do get it, because it's just worthy of that, especially if it is the last season. We got to have it be on that world destructive level, And Lane, like I said, he's not going full, like, bat crazy. Like, he hasn't yet. When he does, everybody better watch out. But yeah, man. Anyways, those are my thoughts on, like just the recent episode and such, and then thoughts for the future, because we deserve that build up for sure. But yeah, man. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to slice that like button down below. Let me know how I did. If you're new to my channel, definitely be sure to subscribe for some epic content, because I upload daily. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that bell by my channel name to be notified when I upload a video. Also, let me know in the comments any Bladers that you'd want to see come back with this. So yeah, anything could happen now. It's all up in the air. Honestly, very nervous with this battle with Lane and Vault. It's going to be the big turning point of this season, no matter what happens. So yeah, till next time, guys, it's your boy Kimbo signing off. See you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Till then, stay awesome and cool. Shoot, I'm up out of here.